There are terms of the light. Be yourself, show up for yourself, and be present. In shaman class, one of the questions that gets asked by shamans is this. They say that the day that you die and you meet your maker, God will ask you one question. Sufani, why weren't you Sufani? The way the world is set up, it becomes confusing to just be who you are. There's a lot of demands made of us to be other, and we can get lost in the web of performance to prove who we are. We are here to be present. The only moment that's real is the one we're in right now. But we often spend our time in the present focusing and having anxiety about the future, or deeply embedded in our storylines of the past. Our pain and anguish and fears cause us to never quite be in the moment. Somehow in our life, we have been taught that success means constantly moving, constantly pursuing, constantly problem solving, and trying to figure things out to lay out the perfect foundation for our life. But I have found in the stripping away of my life a deep secret that I want to share with you. And the secret is this. In the complete absence of pursuit, in the absence of pushing or problem solving, believing that we have to lay out every possible next step of our life, believing that we have to know every answer to every problem that arises and solve it, is a lie. Here's the truth. When we live in the present moment and we decide that we can no longer carry the weight, the anxiety, the anger, and depression of having to hold so much immense pressure to know everything, to be everything, to have every answer to our life and the problems that arise, this is when we become free. The universe was meant to lay out before us all that we need. And when we let go of the control of every possible detail and trying to map out stability long term, we allow the universe to do what it does naturally. That block that we were feeling is really our self-control, which leads to anxiety, fear, and even depression that becomes the block and stagnation to everything we actually want. When we realize this and we drop the mental anguish to have the answers to everything and simply choose to be in the moment and allow what is going to happen, we begin to see things that we wanted to become unlocked and open. You see, everything is already being prepared. The people that we will meet that will just line up, the people that will bring us an opportunity, people that are already leaning in our direction before they've even met us. The meeting places of friends and even loves in our future are all having experiences that are leading them to us. They are being shaped just as we are being shaped by the dynamics of our life that the universe has in store for us. And when we intercept that light and we pursue and try to problem solve and map out every single detail of our life, we are actually getting in the way of the things that are already being laid out for us. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't have to think about our future or plan our future. What this means is that we have to focus more on showing up for ourselves. Sometimes that means we plan our next step, But we live in a society where we are planning out an entire life. We are planning out that someday when we retire, we will live. We'll actually spend the money that we've been saving up our whole life. Yet we use little of that to none of that, all that money that we save up to bring enjoyment to the day-to-day life, to have experiences, and to live fully in the now. We live this way. And when we live this way, we're not truly living. You will know that you are not in the present moment most of the time if you find that you're most of the time in anger, sadness, depression, or anxiety. When you're present, you realize that you can only show up for yourself, for your highest good in that moment for that day. And when you do that, it becomes simple because you've done it, and now the rest is up to the universe. The anxiety, fear, and depression comes when we look at the landscape of an entire life and we compare it against what we don't have. The vacations we aren't taking, the money we don't have, the love we don't have, the friendships we don't have. The universe only asks us to be in the present moment and to show up for ourselves, because everything else that is meant for a higher good is being formed and laid out before us, a moment at a time. And as we are learning our lessons in life, those who are going to cross our paths are also learning lessons. And when we come together, we will all be in alignment. But this takes time. We have no patience when we feel that the meaning of success is to be constantly busy, doing something, constantly looking at our lives and comparing them to others as less than because we aren't as busy, we aren't as successful, we aren't doing as much or having as much as others. We were not meant to think on those terms. The terms of the light are to show up for yourself, to be present, and to be yourself. In reality, there is no one else that you can be. But we've been taught since an early age that we constantly must improve upon ourselves through education, through becoming something, to make something of our life. But our life is being made into something, whether we try or not, whether we push agendas or not. Every day we grow and we are becoming something more than what we are today. Something that I heard recently had a profound effect on me. And it was to stop pursuing, trying to be special. And this may sound counterproductive to showing up for yourself or loving yourself, but in fact, it's quite the opposite. We are already special. And we have been taught that in order to be seen as special or successful or to gain approval, that somehow we have to pursue this idea of being special. We have to do things to be considered special. We have to have a good life, lots of travel, money, success, in the terms that the world needs it. But the reality is that you and your present moment living, that's a good life. Being true to yourself, showing up for yourself, that's a special life. It's a lie to think that you have to become something better than what you are in order to earn the worthiness of being a special person. When you give up the idea of being special, you will feel liberated. When I heard this statement recently, I understood that part of all this pursuit that causes so much anxiety in life is simply because we want to be loved and seen as special. And so we do the dance of life with that goal in mind, and the more that we pursue it, the less we show up for ourselves. The less we are ourselves, because we already are everything that we need to be. We are a human being, simply meant to have experiences that on their own help us grow and develop. We are already special and worthy of love, and those who will love us. And those who will love us are already in the making, evolving naturally as who they are. I've only recently learned these terms of the light because everything in my life had been stripped away from me. And I was left with the stillness in the quiet that was so uncomfortable and painful. But when I simply sat in myself without all the trying, pursuing, something interesting began to happen. For a while, I was trying to push so many things to happen for me to get my life back on track the way that it was. But then I realized when none of that was working that I was pushing against a grain of change. When every pursuit that I tried to get my life back to the way that it was not working, I was exhausted and felt defeated. I simply sat in the stillness. And it was then that I realized that I would stop trying to solve every problem and just allow life to unfold in front of me and to follow the guidance wherever it took me. When I did this, the things that I wanted that were not happening slowly began to change. Contacts began to reach out. Things at work began to change for the better. And I felt less stress because the burden of being responsible for every minute detail of my life going right was no longer something I was trying to control. I simply needed to be present, to show up for myself, and to be myself. That's all the light has ever asked of me. I put the pressure on myself to map out a lifetime of success in terms of the world, which are in drastic contrast to the terms of light. Now, this doesn't mean that we can't enjoy the financial successes of life and travel and adventure. It simply means that we take a different route to get there. We don't have to know every answer, but somewhere along the line we learned that we needed to. Sometimes the greatest joy is simply acknowledging to ourselves that we don't have to have all the answers. That when certain problems arise, we don't have to solve every problem immediately, and we don't have to solve other people's problems. We don't have to constantly know exactly where we're going, and we don't have to be busy or have amazing plans every week or second of the day. It's okay to sit in stillness and do nothing. The world has become a Times Square that we hold in our phones that keep us tapped in 24 hours a day. And our brains were not meant for that. In fact, studies have been done that shows that there is no such thing as multitasking, that the brain can only task one thing at a time. but we try and task many things at the same time. This naturally strains the body and puts stress on our mind, body, spirit. Our lives were meant to be much slower so that we could connect with people in our life, in our experiences, moment to moment. But the world has changed that. So now that you know all of this, it will be up to you to change the way you live. My hope for you is that you understand this is not preempted by the complete stripping of everything in your life, the way that it happened to me. But I do see now what a blessing in disguise it has been, because as my new life is unfolding in front of me, it will be much better than the one that I had laid out for myself before. Because I understand the terms of the light now. I can let go of all the anxiety that came with trying to control every aspect of my life, including the people that were in it. Now I know when people show up for me, it's because the universe put them there, because they are in alignment with the healthier version of myself who is present, who shows up for herself, and is being herself exactly as she is. My experience in life has been that sometimes people that are in your life by your own doing and pursuing oftentimes will try and make you smaller so that you fit into their world the way they want you to be. You shrink, bend, and mold yourself into something that fits into the life of someone else who most likely is dealing with their own trauma and is not healthy. The contrast to that is when we no longer are pursuing or trying or pushing, but we are simply present and allowing this unfolding to happen. We are allowing the universe to bring to us the people, the experiences, and the joy of life that will be in sync with all that we are now. Your homework is to write out the terms of the light in the 3 bullets as I've stated them above. For the next 30 days, carry the small piece of paper with these 3 things and put it in your pocket. When you feel anxiety, sadness, anger, or depression, pull that paper out and recite it to yourself. It will remind you to stop pushing and performing to be the world's view of success as a means to accept yourself and love yourself, or to gain the love of others. If others put demands on who you need to be in order for them to love you fully, this is not love, and it is not what the universe chose for you. When I heard the words, "Stop trying so hard to be special," it awakened a freedom in me that allowed me to acknowledge that it's okay to just be me without all the performance, pursuit, and even trying so hard. Sometimes we've been trying so hard to be something because we're still trying to acquire approval from someone in our past who never loved us or never showed that they saw us as worthy. What we need to understand is that the very act of being alive means we are already special. So remember that. Being special isn't something you earn. It's something that you are. When you know that, there's a freedom in letting go of everything that's attached to that. And it creates a profound healing and ability to simply let go and watch your life unfold in a way that supports your higher self. Because that's the energy you are now putting out there into the universe. The universe wants to put that in front of you. You simply must get out of your own way to allow it to happen. Good luck on this journey. It's a big one.